What's up guys, TopTierYugioh here, and this is going to be a deck profile of what I took to the Baltimore, Maryland Regional last weekend. The regional itself was about 300 people. I got 70th place, I went X4. So it wasn't my best performance, but there were a lot of positive takeaways, and there were a lot of things that I learned that I can take with me going forward in the future tournaments with this deck. And so as you can see, I played Kozmos, but this isn't your standard build of Kozmos. So this is actually a 55 card Kozmos. It's playing Metalfoes and Fire King Island. So it's Metalfoes, Fire King Island, Kozmos. So let's go ahead and get into the profile. So I'm sure a lot of you are wondering why I played Metalfoes in my Fire King Island build of Kozmos, and then also why 55 cards. And the reason behind that is for Fire King Island, if you saw my combo video, then you know that the main combo pieces you need are Fire King Island, some way to destroy Fire King Island, whether that be another Kozmotown or Slip Rider, and then you need a ship to destroy with the Fire King Island in your hand. So if you have Fire King Island and Dark Destroyer or any other ship that's level 6 or higher, those are two of your combo pieces. And for that third combo piece, you need a Kozmotown or a Slip Rider. Now, the Metalfoes are another combo piece because you can destroy Fire King Island with the Metalfoe effect. So that opens up a lot of extra plays. And so you're essentially adding in extra combo pieces into your deck, making your combos more consistent, as well as adding in more combos because the Metalfoes have their own combos with Kozmos because these can destroy your ships while they're on the field. And so it's really advantageous. And then the third thing is that pendulum summoning your Kozmos ships is really good. For example, a lot of times I would pendulum summon like a Slip Rider. Like you have to enter that or else I'm going to destroy your back row. But if you solemn strike the pendulum summon, the ship will still resolve. And I know you can't pendulum summon Dark Destroyer, but pendulum summoning Forerunner and Slip Rider happened all day long, and it was really good. Another really cool thing is that you can use the Metalfoes to destroy a ship, then get combination, then float down the Slip Rider. Slip Rider will destroy the combination, which can search your other scale, and that will allow you to pendulum summon. That was a really good combo that I pulled off almost every single game. Then once you have your pendulum scale set, it just really allows you to advance all your plays that much more. Because one big problem that Kozmos normally have is that they're dependent on their normal summon, and this effectively deals with that problem. And so let's go ahead and get into the actual profile. First we played two Dark Destroyers. It was sort of a late addition that I added in mostly for Blue Eyes because they have a lot of problems dealing with the 4000 attack monster, because I can just attack over pretty much anything they can do, they can't target it. So Dark Planet was really good all day long, even against other decks aside from Blue Eyes. Like I summoned it against Burning Abyss once, and I had to set Kozmotown with another ship, because I knew I could deal with the F-Zero if he were to summon it. But he couldn't even make F-Zero, so Dark Planet just kind of ran him over. So Dark Planet was really good all day. It did contribute to a little bit of bricking, but it wasn't that bad because you can always destroy Kozmotown and then search another Dark Planet. Or you can search the other Dark Planet off of the Tin Can or a Farm Girl, which did happen once actually. I searched another Dark Planet off of a Farm Girl. And so bricking with Dark Planet isn't as bad as bricking with something like Fire King Yaksha. And so I definitely see Dark Planet as something that's necessary in Kozmos right now because it's just really hard to deal with outside of Kaijus. One Dark Destroyer, which is pretty standard. I miss playing 3, but you know, gotta play 1. Next we play 3 Forerunner, 3 Landwalker, 3 Slip Rider, and 1 Delta Shuttle. These are the ships that you can pendulum summon. So that's why I maxed out on all of them except Delta Shuttle because that's kind of dead in hand. You only need it for the combos. But as far as Forerunner, Landwalker, and Slip Rider go, playing 3 of each was amazing. It was great being able to pendulum summon them, especially Slip Rider, because it's so hard to deal with a pendulum summon ship. So once again, if you negate the summon with a Solemn Strike, they still get their effects, they still float. And there were a lot of times where I would pendulum summon them knowing they have the Solemn Strike, and kind of baiting them to use it. And if they didn't use it, I could always just kind of run them over, because now the ship's on the field. Like, if you don't Solemn Strike it, it's on the field and you have to deal with it somehow. But a lot of times you just can't, it floats. And so these are really good to max out on, especially Slip Rider. 1 Dark Lady, it was okay during the day. I think I maybe went into it once or twice, but I'm definitely glad I didn't play more than 1, because it didn't come up that often. 1 Good Witch, I think it's necessary right now for outing monsters like Cyber Dragon Infinity and Blue Eye Spirit Dragon, just other big monsters that decks can summon, and it was really good for helping me out those threats. And then for the rest of the pilots, I played 1 Farm Girl, 2 Sword Troopers, 2 Strongman, and 2 Tin Can. I would possibly consider going up to 2 Farm Girl, because it did come up a couple of times today where I could just clear their board with like Break Sword or Orc out, and then try to attack directly with Farm Girl, but 1 did get the job done. But if I were to add in another pilot, Farm Girl would probably be the first, and then Sword Troopers, because there are more combos that you can do when you have a 3rd copy of Sword Troopers. However, Strongman was the one that I probably used the most often, because again, every time you summon a ship, you can just destroy it, and then go into Strongman, summon back the ship, and then end up with Tin Can in your end phase. And so if you recall back when Dark Destroyer was at 3, sort of the best play you could do first turn was the Strongman Tin Can play. Like you would summon any pilot, then summon your Dark Destroyer, destroy itself, go into Strongman, use Strongman to bring back Destroyer, it would be destroyed, you get Tin Can, and then you get Tin Can's effect in the end phase. However, with this deck in the Metalfoes, you can do that with any ship. You just don't need the Dark Destroyer. I can summon a Forerunner and then destroy that with a Metalfoe, go back down into strongman, and summon it back, and then continue to play. So strongman was very important to the little bit of success that I had today. So for the Metalfoes, I played 9 of them. I played 3 silver, 3 stealing, 2 gold drivers, and 1 Volflame, because these are the ones that you can make Exesis with. Like, you play rank 3s and rank 2s, you don't really play rank 4s or 7s, and so their levels, and while the stats are good, their levels are kind of useless, whereas these have really useful levels, and even silver has good stats. And for the Fire King Island targets, I played 1 Yaksha and 1 Garunix. Another advantage of playing 55 cards was that it was theoretically going to lower the probability of drawing the Fire King Island monsters. However, I did draw them a large number of times. And so in 55 cards, you're supposed to draw them about 9% of the time. However, I wrote down every single time I drew one of these in my opening hand, and I drew one in about 30% of my games. And so I could almost attribute a good amount of this to luck. Just bad luck, honestly. So like I was gonna dead draw these some amount of times and I was prepared for that, but I drew these almost every round. At least one game every round. And so that was really, really bad. Yaksha was actually pretty decent though, because I can destroy it with a Metalfoe and then use that to destroy something in my hand. So it's essentially a Fire King Island that uses my normal summon. And so Yaksha wasn't as bad, but drawing Garunix is really, really awful usually, because the only thing you can do with it is set it. And then finally, for some of the tech cards, I played 3 Gofu, 2 Maxis, and 1 Rescue Rabbit. The Gofus were actually really, really good. I mean, every time I summoned it, it got Solemn Strike or Magic Spectre Tempest or something. But in theory, it was going to be really good because it gives me access to synchros. It's like Ultimate Tzolkin for Crystal Wing. It also lets me summon Ignister with a Silvered. I can summon a Ancient Fairy Dragon with a Strongman or a Stealing. And so Gofu really opens up a lot of combos. And I mean, the fact that it ate up a lot of Solemn Strikes was good too. I mean, it kind of saved my normal summons. So Gofu was good today. Rescue Rabbit was really, really good. Every time I drew it, I think I won that game. Because it's essentially a free rank 3 or rank 2. And if it's not that, it's going to be a free Orc-out. And so Rescue Rabbit just opens up a lot of plays for free. And it can be pendulum summoned from your hand. So that was awesome. Max C, on the other hand, was actually really bad. And so I saw Max C as being really good against Blue Eyes and Burning Abyss. However, I only played 2 Burning Abyss and 1 Blue Eyes. And the rest of the day I was playing like Magic Specters. So Maxi was just a little lackluster today for me. And so I'd probably consider taking it out or moving it to the side deck. For the spells, I played 3 Kozmotown, 3 Fire King Island, 3 Terraforming, 1 Metalfoe Fusion, and 1 Emergency Teleport. The field spells are all kind of self-explanatory. I really want to max out on all of them so I see it more often. This is a 55 card deck, so I need to max out on them. Kozmotown was especially good because you can destroy it with a Metalfoe and then search any other Kozmo card you want. So a lot of times I was searching Kozmojos, or if I needed a pilot or a ship, I would just search that, usually a Dark Destroyer or something. And so Kozmojo was really, really good for me. So was Fire King Island if I wasn't bricking on the Fire King monsters. Metalfoes Fusion also put in a lot of work. Like, I summoned those fusions a good amount of times today. And I even saw Emergency Teleport once, and it allowed me to sneak in a Farm Girl attack, and that was enough to kind of put me over the edge to win that game. So the spell lineup was really, really good. I'm very happy with the spell lineup. I don't think I would add anything else to the spells. Alright, so for the traps, I played 3 Kozmojo and 2 Metalfoe combinations. I feel pretty good about this trap lineup. I did dead draw Kozmojo a couple of times, so I might take out one of them, just to reduce on the number of dead draws, because this deck does play a high number of cards that you don't want to draw. Like, you don't want to draw the Fire King monsters, that's 2. You don't want to draw Metalfoes Fusion generally. And then another really bad thing is multiple Kozmojos. And so I'm considering taking out one. And I can always search it if I have a Metalfoe scale and a Kozmotown or a Slip Rider. I can just destroy the Kozmotowns and search this, or I can get it off of a tin can or a Farm Girl as well. And so this is something that I'm definitely considering. And I'll put a poll in the top right corner of the screen. You can let me know what you think as well. The combinations are really good though, because there are a lot of games where like I would have a Slip Rider and I would just destroy it with Slip Rider, then get the scale, then use the scale to destroy the Slip Rider, and then go into my Strongman tin can play, which is really good. And so for the extra deck, I played 1 Cyber Dragon Infinity, 1 Cyber Dragon Nova. I probably went into these the most. Maybe every other game I went into Cyber Dragon Infinity. So this was really good all day long. Grand Pulse is what I went into second most, because I ended a lot of my first turn combos with it. And the good thing about it is it puts a lot of pressure on your opponents not to set back row. And so if I end my first turn with Infinity and Grand Pulse, this is 2800 defense, so you're not going to get over this and Infinity easily. And if you set me back row, I'm just going to immediately destroy it. And so this is really good for just sort of pressuring my opponents and putting them in bad situations. Breaksword set up for a lot of OTKs, so I went into this a lot as well. I think I went into Leviair once, if that. Maybe once. I went to Dante once in the main deck. I also played it for cherries, but I went into it because I summoned the Dark Planet, and I didn't have anything in my graveyard yet, so I was like, okay. I have a Rescue Rabbit, so I went to Dante, milled 3 and got a couple of Kozmos in the graveyard, so that was pretty good. I did play 2 Burning Abyss matchups and I sided in cherries, however I didn't draw them. And so Dante wasn't really good in that regard, but again, it was good in the main deck. 1 Herald of the Pure Light, I went into this twice I think, for getting Dark Destroyer back to my hand after sending it with Delta Shuttle. That actually happens quite often, and for shuffling back Fire King Island monsters into your deck, so you can activate Fire King Island once again. This was sort of my tech card, number 45, Crumble Logos, the Prophet of Demolition. Let's bring this up into the camera. And so once per turn, you can attach 1 material, target 1 face-up card on the field, and while this monster is face-up on the field, that target has its effects negated. While that target is on the field, cards with the same name and their effects can't be activated. And so, the idea was to play this so I have an out to F0 against Burning Abyss. However, that didn't come up against Burning Abyss, but it did come up against a Clee Demise deck, where I could have negated a Necro Valley or a Light Imprisoning Mirror. And so this is pretty good. It also has 2200 attack, which is pretty good for a rank 2. And then last, I played 1 F0, which I didn't go into, and I would probably take this out. You can do this in the combos if you open like really broken. However, realistically, it's probably not going to happen that often. Especially not while I'm only playing 2 Sword Troopers, so I'll probably take this out for maybe more cherries targets, like ABC Buster Dragon, or a Blue Eye Spirit Dragon. Then for the synchros, we play Ultimate Tzolkin, Crystal Wing, Ignister, and Ancient Fairy Dragon. I didn't get to summon any of these because Gofu got Solemn Strike or Madaspectre Tempest literally every time I summoned it. However, these would have been really good. And they're also pretty good cherries target, so against a deck like Metalfoes, Crystal Wing can be really hard to deal with, Tzolkin and Ignister. And having them both in my own extra deck means that I can also play cherries against them and then banish them from my opponent's extra deck, which can sometimes give me a really good advantage, especially if they don't have any other outs to my monsters outside of Ignister. And then finally we have 1 Metalfoes Adamante and then 1 Metalfoes Orichalc. I went into both of these a lot. Like, these are really good all day, just playing sort of like Metalfoes Fusion Beatdown. Like, it was really good. So this was my side deck. I played 2 Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, 2 Flying Seas, 1 Tzolkin, 3 Fossil Dynas, 2 Archphoenix-centrics, 3 Twin Twisters, 1 Solemn, and 1 Vanities. These were mostly for Burning Abyss, however I didn't draw any of them against Burning Abyss, but they would have been really good in theory. The Tzolkins and Fossil Dynas were mostly for Blue Eyes, and that if you normal summon these going first, Blue Eyes won't be able to do anything because they have mostly very low attack. And then Tzolkin's also really good because it can answer established boards. I only had 1, and so that's why I sided the Fossil Dynas, but if I had more, then I definitely would have played triple Tzolkin in the side deck. And it's also good because it can be pendulum summoned in defense, and it has a very solid 1300 defense. And now Dino was actually a really good substitution for it because it essentially does the same thing. I could just summon it turn 1, and then my opponent couldn't do anything because I often don't need my normal summon. I can pendulum summon monsters, I can destroy them from my hand with Fire King Island. So it's really easy to like make a play and then just normal summon a Dyna afterwards. And that's actually what I did in I think round 6 against Mermails. I had a field of like Infinity Grand Pulse, I had a Dark Destroyer, and then I just normal summoned the Fossil Dyna. And that was like game, like there was no way he was getting over that board. And so Dyna was really good. Then I played the 2 Archphoenix-centrics and the 3 Twin Twisters for a back row deck. I wanted 5 cards for answering back row because this gives me a pretty good probability of drawing them. That's why I played 5 versus just playing one or the other, or only playing like 3 Twin Twisters. So this was actually really, really good, and I drew them just enough. And the last 2 cards I played were Solemn Warning and Vanity's Emptiness. And these were mostly just for going first. And Emptiness, actually I didn't draw Emptiness. And Solemn Warning I saw a couple of times, and every time I saw it, I drew it after turn 1. And like the life point cost was just way too much. And a big problem this deck has is playing into time and conserving life points. And so Solemn Warning was not very conducive to solving that problem. But I wanted something to negate pendulum summons. And so in the future I'll probably consider like anti-spells, which can't negate pendulum summons, but it can prevent them from pendulum summoning by not allowing them to play the scales. But overall, I was really happy with these 5 cards. These were probably the 5 cards in my side deck that I went into the most often and saw the most often, as well as I did see Fossil Dyna a couple times too. These would have been good if I played more Burning Abyss, but I didn't, and these were just kind of bad. So alright guys, thanks for watching. So this is going to be it for the deck profile. I'm going to go over the tournament report and some things that I would maybe change in another video, so stay tuned for that. That's going to be up pretty soon. So thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.
I find myself thinking about our sweet escape. I love to daydream about those memories made when the ocean slipped